There's a special kind of pleasure in things you can actually hold. The weight of a book in your hand, the smell of an old recipe scribbled on paper, the sound of a record starting to play. These are sensations that life has slowly run out of time for, and many people didn't even realize they'd stopped feeling them. Our homes have become more practical, faster, and more organized, but at the same time, without us even noticing, they've lost a bit of their texture. This year, how about bringing some of those real things back inside? It's not about giving up convenience or turning your back on the new. It's just about rediscovering the simple pleasure of living with your hands and not just with your eyes on a screen. Let me give you 10 ideas for this. Small things that bring more texture and presence back into everyday life. It used to be that when a book or a record was important to you, it truly became yours. It sat on the shelf, you'd write notes in the margins, and you'd lend it to a friend. You had a relationship with that object. Today, music and movies flow through you in an endless stream, rented from a digital service that could remove them at any time. You have access to everything, but you don't own a thing. It's convenient, but it strips away the real feeling and texture of things. This isn't about hoarding. It's about building a relationship with what you choose to keep close. These little constants are what give a home and a life its identity. Fewer things, but real ones, versus a pile of stuff that slips through your fingers without ever being yours. In the modern world, we choose every single detail of what we consume. Every song, every episode, every video. It feels like freedom, and in a way it is. But there's a side to it no one talks about. Being the programmer of everything, all the time, is exhausting. You've become the curator of your life, constantly deciding what comes next, and that's just one more task added to a day already full of decisions. Think about what it was like to turn on the radio. You didn't choose anything. You just received it. And every now and then, a song would play that you wouldn't have picked, but it fit the moment perfectly. Or you'd stumble onto a new show that actually interested you. There's a rare pleasure in being surprised and letting life give you something you didn't decide on. It doesn't have to be the radio, specifically. The point is to let go every once in a while. Stop being in command of every second that enters your ears and eyes, and rediscover how good it feels to decide nothing for a while. Think about what happens when you have a few minutes to wait. We reach for our phones almost automatically. In a line, in a waiting room, or sitting somewhere before someone arrives. We fill the gap before we even notice it. There was a time when these small pauses were simply part of the day. Now, we rarely leave them empty. Try swapping that for a book. Keep one in your bag, in the car, or by the door. Then, when you have to wait, you have something you actually want to spend those few minutes doing. You get through a few pages. You leave having experienced something else. It's the same amount of time, but it stops being a hole to be plugged and becomes a little break that's yours alone. Those lost minutes here and there add up to hours over a week. It's the difference between getting home, feeling like you spent all day glued to a screen, or feeling like you stole a few good moments of reading in the middle of the rush. Think about how often a recipe pulls your phone into the kitchen. You put it on the counter, start cooking, and before long you're tapping the screen with wet or flour-covered fingers, trying to keep it awake or find the line you were on. Something that could have stayed simple suddenly has a screen in the middle of it. Next time you find a recipe you want to make, print it out. or copy it into a notebook by hand. Leave the paper on the counter. Let it get dirty, let it get splashed, and write notes on the side. A recipe that works out gets a little note in the margin. It becomes yours. Over the years, that crumpled, stained piece of paper tells a story that no digital file ever will. Cooking without a screen nearby brings back a piece we didn't even realize we were losing. It turns meal prep into a little ritual instead of just another chore with a phone in your hand. Think about the last time you got something handwritten in the mail. Not a bill or an ad, but a note, a card, just a few lines from someone saying they were thinking of you. If it's been a while, it's because handwritten correspondence is one of the rarest, most beautiful things we've left behind. A text takes 2 seconds and looks like everyone else's, but a few lines written by hand carry something else. They carry the time that person took to sit down and write, their unique handwriting, and the little flaws and scratches that no computer font has. It's the effort that gives the gesture value. The person who receives it feels like they were worth that time. So write a real birthday card, a thank you note, or a simple thinking of you with a stamp. It takes 2 minutes and means so much more than you think. In a world where everything is instant, something that takes a little work becomes a treasure. We take more photos today than at any other time in history. Hundreds or even thousands of photos are stored on our phones. And that's the paradox. Because there are so many and they're so easy to take, they never actually get seen. They stay there, trapped in the device's memory, in an endless roll that no one ever scrolls to the bottom of. Photos have become so common that they've stopped being memories. It used to be that a photo was an object. It sat in a frame on a shelf, in an album the family flipped through together, or stuck to the fridge. You'd bump into it by accident, and it would give a moment back to you. So, make a habit of doing something with your photos. Once a month, pick a few, get them printed, and put them in a frame, an album, or on the wall. A printed photo has a way of staying in your life. You see it every day, remember the moment, and eventually it becomes part of your home. Years later, someone you love can turn those pages and see a part of the life you lived. Buying a gift has become a lonely, silent act. A few clicks, and the box arrives at the door a few days later. It works, but it's lost everything that made it good. Next time you need to buy someone a gift, consider going to a local shop. When you buy from a small business, your money goes to a real person who has chosen to build something of their own. Maybe they know the products by heart. Maybe they make some of them themselves. Or maybe they've been running that little store for years. There's usually a story behind the place, and your purchase becomes part of that story. Take your time, talk to the person behind the counter, and let them help you choose something. You get to meet someone you might never have crossed paths with otherwise, while your money supports a business that exists in your own community. And when you give that gift, you're giving more than an object. You can tell the person where you found it and why you chose it. Finally, notice how many small daily tasks have migrated into the screen without us even consciously deciding it. We do our banking through an app, check the weather on our phones, and buy everything online. Each of these things got faster, it's true, but along with them, a handful of small, real-world moments that were good for us disappeared without us noticing. Park the car, get some sun, take a short walk, say hello to someone, and see if that doesn't cheer you up more than pressing a button. Don't do the math on the time you'd save or the money you'd spend. Just try one of these things and notice how you feel afterward. Maybe a little calmer, a little slower, fewer things at your fingertips, and something more real in your hands. None of this is about rejecting technology or trying to recreate a past that no longer exists. It's about making sure convenience doesn't become the only way we experience everyday life. Some things are simply better when we take our time with them and experience them directly. Those are often the things we remember years later, and maybe that's reason enough to bring a few of them back.